For decades, one country seemed unstoppable. From factories that supplied the world to skyscrapers rising faster than anywhere else, China's rise looked like the most impressive economic transformation in human history. More than 800 million people lifted out of poverty, a middle class bigger than the entire population of Europe. A nation that went from bicycles to bullet trains in a single generation. But in 2025, the story looks different. Growth has slowed to its weakest pace in half a century.
China's economy is suffering from the opposite, deflation. Consumer prices declined in July for the first time in more than 2 years. People and businesses are not spending, and the world's second largest economy is struggling to revive demand.
The property sector that once fueled expansion is collapsing under trillions in debt. Youth unemployment has reached record highs, and the country's population is shrinking for the first time in modern history.
For the first time in more than 60 years, China's population has fallen. Beijing's National Bureau of Statistics said the population decreased by 850,000 people to 1.4 billion.
For the first time since Deng Xiaoping opened China to the world in 1978, people are asking a question that once seemed impossible. Has China already peaked? So how did the world's biggest growth story start to lose momentum? How did the country that built everything suddenly face problems it can't build its way out of? And what does China's slowdown really mean for the rest of us? To understand China's current struggles, you have to start with how extraordinary its rise really was. In 1978, China was poor, isolated, and recovering from decades of political turmoil. The average citizen earned less than $2,000 a year. Foreign trade was almost non-existent. Most people worked on collective farms and private business was illegal. Then, Deng Xiaoping changed everything. He introduced a new vision he called socialism with Chinese characteristics. In practice, that meant one-party rule would stay, but market forces would be allowed to grow. Small farmers could once again own their output. Private workshops began to appear. Foreign companies were invited to invest in new special economic zones, like Shenzhen, a fishing village that would later become one of the most advanced cities in the world. The results were staggering. Between 1980 and 2010, China's GDP grew at an average of 10% a year. No major economy in history had ever grown that fast for that long. Hundreds of millions moved from the countryside to the city. Entire skylines appeared where farmland once stood. China built highways, ports, and rail networks that connected the country like never before. Exports exploded. By the early 2000s, China had become the factory of the world. From the phone in your hand to the clothes you wear, almost everything seemed to come with a Made in China label. Foreign companies poured in to take advantage of cheap labor and efficient supply chains. The world's manufacturing map shifted east, and China became its center. But China's rise wasn't just about exports. It was built on a powerful combination of low-cost labor, heavy government planning, and massive investment. Local governments borrowed money to build infrastructure. State-owned banks funneled cheap credit into factories and construction projects. The population was young, eager, and growing. It was the perfect storm for industrialization. By the mid-2000s, China joined the World Trade Organization. Its economy integrated fully with global markets, and foreign investment surged even higher. The world's largest companies depended on Chinese production. This era created new icons: Huawei, Tencent, Alibaba. China wasn't just a factory anymore. It was becoming a technological power. By 2010, China had overtaken Japan to become the world's second largest economy. Its GDP was 15 times higher than in 1978. Beijing looked unstoppable. But beneath the surface, something else was forming. A system that depended on constant expansion, constant borrowing, and constant building. That model worked when the population was growing, when exports were booming, and when global demand seemed infinite. Now, all three of those pillars are starting to crack. China's economic miracle was never magic, it was engineering. The government used a command-driven model where growth targets were set from the top and local officials competed to hit them. Cities built highways, industrial parks, airports, and entire districts to show results. Each project created jobs and GDP growth. Each loan fueled more construction. It became a self-reinforcing loop. But it also meant that debt kept rising. Today, China's total debt is roughly 3 times the size of its economy. Local governments owe trillions through hidden financing vehicles, and many rely on land sales to stay afloat. For years, selling land to developers funded local budgets. Developers borrowed to buy land, built apartments, and sold them fast and repeated the cycle. Now that cycle is breaking. The biggest developer, Evergrande, defaulted on over $300 billion in liabilities. Other property giants followed. Construction halted. Projects stopped midway, and millions of unfinished apartments were left behind. Real estate makes up nearly 30% of China's economy. When it slows, everything slows. Factories are producing less. Consumer confidence is falling. Young people are struggling to find jobs. In 2024, youth unemployment passed 20% before the government stopped publishing the data. In a country where stability depends on growth, that is a warning sign. The property bubble was never just about housing. It was the backbone of local government finance, household wealth, and investment returns. Once it cracked, it revealed how dependent the economy had become on constant expansion, even when demand no longer justified it. This is what economists call the middle income trap, when a developing nation's old growth model stops working before it transitions to a higher income one. China now faces that moment. The slowdown isn't only about real estate, it's demographic, structural, and political. China's working age population peaked in 2015 and has been shrinking ever since. The country recorded its first population decline in 60 years in 2023. For decades, the one-child policy kept population growth under control. Now it has created the opposite problem: too few workers, too many retirees, and not enough children to replace them. The average age in China is now over 39, older than the United States. By 2040, 1 in 4 Chinese citizens will be over 60. An aging society means slower growth, higher healthcare costs, and a smaller workforce to support the elderly. Then there's productivity. While China's labor force grew, so did its output per worker. But in recent years, that growth has slowed dramatically. Many industries are saturated. The easy gains from urbanization are gone. Foreign investment is also cooling. Geopolitical tensions and rising wages have pushed some companies to shift factories to Vietnam, India, and Mexico. The model that once made China the world's factory is no longer unique. At the same time, Beijing has tightened control over its private sector. Tech giants like Alibaba and Tencent have been fined, restructured, and publicly criticized. The education sector was hit with sudden regulations that wiped out billions in market value overnight. Foreign investors now see higher risk in China's regulatory environment. Confidence has been shaken not by demand, but by uncertainty. For decades, globalization fueled China's boom, but the world is changing. Trade wars, technology restrictions, and shifting alliances have forced Beijing to rethink its strategy. The United States has limited exports of advanced semiconductors and restricted investment in Chinese tech. Western companies are diversifying supply chains, a process now called de-risking. The European Union, Japan, and even South Korea are aligning with this approach. For a country built on global trade, these moves are significant. China is responding by trying to become self-reliant. It's investing heavily in chip manufacturing, green technology, and artificial intelligence. It's building partnerships with countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America through the Belt and Road Initiative. But even that is under strain. Many Belt and Road projects have been delayed or defaulted. Some countries owe billions they can't repay. Externally, China faces growing skepticism. Internally, it faces falling consumption and slower growth. China's leadership now faces a dilemma. For 40 years, growth has been the social contract, prosperity in exchange for stability. But growth is harder to generate now. Cutting interest rates hasn't sparked spending. Stimulus packages no longer deliver the same results. Consumers are saving instead of buying, anxious about the future. Meanwhile, the government is trying to shift the economy from investment-led growth to consumption-driven growth. That transition is proving difficult. For decades, the system rewarded construction, infrastructure, and exports. Building an economy around domestic spending requires new habits, new confidence, and time. China is not collapsing, but it is changing. The era of double-digit growth is gone. The age of adjustment has begun. What happens next will define the next 50 years of global economics. China still has immense strengths, world-class infrastructure, deep manufacturing expertise, and one of the largest consumer markets on Earth. It's a leader in electric vehicles, solar power, and high-speed rail. But its weaknesses are structural: a shrinking workforce, falling productivity, rising debt, and a model that depends too much on control, not innovation. To keep rising, China needs to let go of the formula that made it rich. It must become more open, more entrepreneurial, and more efficient. That means allowing private enterprise to breathe again. It means focusing on creativity, not just capacity. And it means accepting slower, more sustainable growth as the new normal. Some call it the end of China's miracle. Others call it maturity. For the rest of the world, China's slowdown is both a risk and an opportunity. Countries that once depended on Chinese demand are feeling the impact. Commodity exporters from Africa to South America are seeing weaker sales. Manufacturing nations like Germany and Japan are facing lower orders. But other economies are rising to fill the gap. India, Vietnam, and Indonesia are attracting more investment. Global supply chains are rebalancing. In a way, this is globalization's next chapter. The world isn't deglobalizing, it's diversifying. China's story isn't ending, it's evolving. Its rise showed what is possible when a country mobilizes its population, infrastructure, and industry toward a single goal. Its slowdown shows what happens when that system reaches its limits. For decades, China was the world's growth engine. Now it may become the case study for what happens when size, depth, and demographics collide. The next global era might not be defined by who grows the fastest, but by who adapts the best. China's rise reshaped the modern world. It lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty and built cities that stretched to the horizon. It turned a developing nation into a global superpower. But no country grows forever. Every miracle has a cost. Every empire meets a limit. The question now isn't whether China can grow, it's whether it can evolve.